Tonight we're flying from Nashville, Tennessee to Pensacola, Florida to get some sushi for dinner. I have a master of business operations on the airplane with me, Stacy Tuschl, and she's gonna show you how you can set up your business for success. Welcome to Mile High Mastermind. I'm Bill Allen, a retired Navy test pilot and full-time entrepreneur. I'm gonna be taking you into the cockpit with some of the top business minds in the world. If you're looking to scale your business to new heights, hop in and let's go.
All right, so what we're gonna do is you're gonna be on the pedals a little bit, so feet on the pedals slightly, and that controls left or right, and then
so you're moving them and mine are moving.
Yeah, so you see mine. Yeah, see I'm using left pedal. That kind of directs us left and right.
Got it.
So in order to stay on the runway, you want that pedal set up. Now what we're gonna do here, get your hands on the controls like that. Okay, so I'm gonna run the power up a little bit.
I feel like I'm a little far away from this.
You are a little bit far away. We're gonna move you up. Okay, I'm gonna just do one quick check. It works. Now our heels are going to go to the floor, and I'm going to run the power up. Right pedal, because you get this torque effect. So I'm pushing right pedal in, you're helping me.
Okay.
Okay, so now just look outside.
Oh my goodness, I'm not liking this.
Look outside.
Oh my goodness.
You don't like it?
Well, I mean, I don't like that I feel like we're going crooked.
100%. We're going crooked?
Well, I feel like we
you
were.
better fix it.
Well,
you better fix it.
No,
so
oh
we're
my
looking
goodness.
for like 90 knots here. There's 85. There's 90. So pull back on the stick a little bit. Pull back.
Okay.
Yep, keep pulling back. Pull back.
Okay.
More. More.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, please don't make me do this. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I feel like I can't see anything.
Yeah, push down a little
Push
bit.
down where?
Yeah, a little forward.
Oh
you don't want to see like too much sky.
Okay, but
so
I don't know that we can see anything.
Nose over a little. You can't see anything?
No, I feel like I'm just looking
so
in
pull
the
back
air.
a little bit more. Pull back a little bit more.
When you say pull back, you mean towards me?
Yeah, towards you a little bit.
Are we leaning on purpose?
Yeah, turn right. Yeah, turn right.
Oh my goodness. I can't turn and do this thing in
Turn
this.
right. Sure you can.
You're doing this turning, right?
Oh, you're doing the turn.
Oh, I'm saying we're supposed to be turning?
Yeah, turn right. Yeah, turn right. So let's go over there. Let's go over by those hills over there.
So if I'm turning right, I'm pushing on my right foot?
Oh, forget the feet.
Oh
Put your feet on the ground.
Oh my goodness. See, this is where I'm like, what happened here?
Sorry. Okay, so see, you're flying. Look, so you're going up or climbing, and you're going right.
Oh, it's like autopilot on the right, or your feet are still pushing us right?
Oh, you're turning right.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, now level it out. So pull for a little bit left. A little bit more left. Yeah, see?
They do it final 3-5 Lawrenceburg.
I mean, oh
okay,
my
let me just make a quick call.
Please.
Murray County traffic, TBN 75 Charlie Alpha, departing the pattern in the right crosswind, Murray County. Okay, that's the last call for them. So now we want to climb up to, let's go to 17,500 feet. So we're at 2,500, and it's rollout wings level. So here, come a little bit left like this. So like right about there. If you see that, you see about as much ground on left and right as you kind of just look left and right. And now we're just making sure we don't hit anybody up here. So level the wings a little bit more. See how we're like turning right? You feel the turning right?
So I'm turning
So turn back to the left. It's going to take us forever to get there. We'll just kind of like meander our way. So turn a little bit left, a little bit more left, like over there. Let's put the yaw down.
Very trusting person letting me do this so quickly. Now I'm going to the right, right?
There's not a lot of stuff that you can do wrong. I mean, these red lights that are coming on are a problem.
Okay, great. I love the beeping sounds.
Yeah.
I just thought you'd be able to see in front of you.
Turn left
I know, I can feel it. I can feel it.
You're like, have a tendency to,
oh my goodness.
like Zoolander. You can't go left.
I'm not an ambi-turner. I can't turn left.
It's my first time. Okay.
So more left. Take me left. But you see how, can you feel we're like going way nose up? Can you feel that or not?
Yeah. So do I want to be doing that?
No, yeah, this is not bad.
I'm freaking out a little bit. So I feel like I would have thought I could have seen where we were going.
So you can't see anything because we're gonna climb. We're gonna climb right now.
Okay, but what?
So there's a lot going on here on the display. So you got to keep your scan moving. The thing is, you're staring straight. Yeah, I'll take the controls for a second.
Okay, thank you.
So when you're staring like straight ahead, it's really a challenge to like you got to. So when I was a student, they always said like keep your scan moving. You got to like always move your head around to get information in. And so I attribute a lot of this to like business, frankly.
My husband, as a police officer, that's all he does while we're driving. He's literally looking left to right. And I'm always like, look forward, what are you doing? He's freaking me out.
There's nothing to see forward.
I know,
you gotta look around. So you keep your scan moving. And so when you fly on instruments, when we're in the clouds, the challenge that like kills a lot of pilots and gives them problems is that they get stuck on one instrument and they can fly and put themselves in bad situations.
Okay.
All right, so how was your takeoff? Okay, you like it?
Yeah, I mean, the feet and the hands are a lot. I'm like, wait.
You weren't even controlling the power. I was on the power. So you got power, you got feet, you got hands, you got all that stuff. So I'll tell you what, I'll put on the autopilot. So we'll put on the autopilot. I got 17.5 set, and we'll go direct We'll put the autopilot on. It'll take us where we want to go. I need,
crazy.
Hold on, I need flight level climb. Is this how I start all these? Who are you and what are you doing in my airplane?
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm Stacy Tuschl, and I have a couple businesses. The business, though, that I met you in is my online business, Well-Oiled Operations. So I help people, and that's I think one of the reasons I clicked with you so fast is because a lot of times I would hear you speak on stage, and you were speaking my language, like hiring, the systems, the org chart, all of that. So I'm like, ooh, I need to know this guy. And then we met a few times with ClickFunnels and hit it off. And we actually sat randomly on an airplane next to each other, not on your plane. And then, I'm here in Nashville, and Bill invited me to come hang out, and I couldn't say no.
Hey, you can't say no to an airplane trip, right?
Yeah, I mean, hello, how often do you get to do this? My team said, does he know it's past your bedtime? I'm like, I'm making an exception.
Yeah, I usually go to bed like 9:30 or 10.
Yeah.
So I don't have to get ready in the morning, though. So let's talk about that for a second. It's the first time I've ever heard this phrase ever in my entire life.
What?
I mean, people have said, I need to get ready, or I need to,
it's the whole thing.
But, the term where all the women went, oh.
Yeah.
We're in a conference, so Stacy is doing her event at my office in Nashville, in Spring Hill, Tennessee. I was the only guy in there all day today. There's 50 women in there, and Amy Porterfield was there with you on stage. You guys are doing a fireside chat, and you guys were talking about getting ready. That was an actual phrase that women use that men know nothing about. So there's a lot of men that watch my stuff.
Yeah.
Define get ready, please.
So get ready is basically, the end result is I'm presentable enough to get on camera. That's me washing my hair, blow drying my hair, straightening it, putting on makeup, right? So for a woman, that might take us 30 minutes to an hour, versus a guy can roll out of bed and be like, all right, let's shoot this, let's do this. And I'm like, whoa, hold up. I remember in the pandemic, Fox Business called me, which how often does Fox Business call? Never. And they were like, hey, we'd love to interview you. And I said, great, when? And he said, 10 minutes from now, can you jump on Zoom? Thank Lord that I was ready that day, or I would have been like, I'm jumping out with a messy bun, and you know what I mean, just insane. So I feel like we have to strategize. We lose that time in our workday. You know what I mean? So we either have to wake up earlier, or sacrifice an hour of work.
Yeah, I honestly I've thought about that before. You guys used it for on-camera appearances, right?
Yeah, definitely.
It wasn't like getting ready for a date or going out on a Friday night. It was and the way it came up was, you're like, does that mean you don't have to get ready on a Monday? And I was like, what does that even mean? Everybody has to get ready to get up and get dressed and things. So it's just very interesting. It's not something I'd ever heard, and honestly, it gave me perspective.
Yeah.
Where the whole room, when you hear a whole room go, it's a problem.
And that was part of our strategy. I knew what she was doing, why she crammed everything to a Tuesday or a Wednesday, because I knew she was thinking, I don't have to get ready on Monday and Thursday. I can just be in my yoga pants in my office and get my stuff done.
Yeah, something you're right. We don't really have to deal with. I don't have long hair. And I got military background. I was on the submarine. They have submarine showers. So in the submarine, you have to conserve water. So when you're underwater, you turn the water on and get wet, and then turn it off.
Wow.
And then you soap up.
Okay.
And then you turn it on, wash it off, and then you're out. You have to you get 1 minute with water on, 30 seconds, 30 seconds. That's it.
Crazy.
And I'm just used to, I don't know. I dry my hair, get done, go, deodorant, whatever, brush my teeth, I'm out. And it's probably 10 minutes. I do have to occasionally, plan the T-shirt that I'm wearing.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Or the
really
sunglasses in the airplane, but that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah, which T-shirt, I know.
Okay, what do you do?
So I own dance and music schools for children. And I've been doing this now for 20 years already. And what forced me to start doing what I was doing was, it's a second shift business. We teach kids, so we have to wait till they're out of school or they're on the weekends, right? And I thought, well, how am I going to do this and be a mom? That's going to be awful. I'm going to be with all these other people's kids, and I'm not going to be with my kids. So I started to learn the power of delegation and started to build a team, and I started to build a business that didn't need me. So at the 10-year mark in my business, I had a baby, I went on maternity leave, and I didn't go back into the business, and it was a game changer. And that really prompted other people to say, the karate studio called me and he said, is this weird, but can I pick your brain? We're not, we're kind of competitors, but we're not, because I'm karate and you're dance. What do you think? And I'm like, sure. So we met for fun, and I told him my business secrets, and then that kept happening. I thought, other people need to hear this. Like, I need to share how I built a small business that doesn't need me making every single decision.
And then you started supporting everybody else in that.
Correct.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about EOS, right? So Entrepreneurial Operating System. We operated off of that for years in my real estate company, and then we moved off of it like 2 years ago to build our own system. How are you different in what you offer right now to people, and where do you think either that program's lacking, and you don't have to specifically beat up EOS, but there's a ton of different operating systems. How do you feel about operating systems for business owners?
Yeah, so first of all, you need one. I don't care which one you pick, it is just not an option to not have an operating system. I think there are a lot of great things about EOS. Like, I definitely am not going to sit here and bash them for sure, but I think we do have some different strategies. So one of the things that I think not just EOS, but a lot of people in my space, I know we're taught to do this, like come up with your own words and phrases so that, you can have your own thing, but we're all saying the same thing. So they say rocks, right? Maybe we say like quarterly goals or annual, things like that. We have different words, but what I don't like about using words like rocks is nobody knows what that means. So every time a new person comes into the business, this new person who already has to learn everything about your business, what you sell, why you sell it, who you sell it to, now you have to say, and we have these things called rocks. Let me explain what a rock is. Whereas when I say, listen, we've got daily objectives, we've got, weekly, our weekly tasks, we've got annual goals, or whatever I say. It's in language that anybody can understand. And it just takes the pressure off of at least the new person of, oh, now I have to learn one more thing. So I think that was one, and I get why they're doing it. It's proprietary. They can call it and it's their thing. So I totally see the strategy behind it, but I also sometimes see the strategy can actually hurt the people you're trying to support the most in your business. So I think also we have a very well-rounded overall approach. So we teach the marketing, the fulfillment side, and the operations piece, because you need all three, right? And that's, I think, a big difference too, is when we change something in marketing, it might blow up fulfillment. Well, you need to know what our systems are inside of it. So we're massively a systems-based company. So I teach all my systems in every single department, and I don't know that EOS does that much. It's more about like the hiring, you would know more than me, but
I feel like it's more operational. So there's not a lot of marketing and financial.
Yes.
So do you lump financials into operations for your students?
And a small business owner, we wear many hats, right? And then our main players that come in, because we're small, they wear many hats. So sometimes you have head of HR is also head of finance in a small business when it's a team of 6 people. We just bring our team into the mix, and we show them how they're wearing multiple hats. And then when they start to break away and have to separate and say, okay, now we're big enough where this person becomes 3 different people or 2 different people or whatever that looks like.
Yeah, I think I totally agree. Like, I was wearing all the hats in the beginning, and then I brought in one person and kind of look at it like cups. Like, my cup was completely overfilling, and I brought in somebody's empty cup and just poured some of mine in there. And then it was just like, then hers started overfilling, mine started overfilling, brought one more person in. And in the beginning, it was like, I was doing most of it, she was doing some of it. And then we started offloading my tasks and a little bit of hers, and we just kind of grew my first real estate business that way, like little by little. I had no idea what I was doing. I felt like I was completely lost just doing the next right thing. And that now we understand it, we look back and we say, wow, there is a repeatable, systematic approach to this that can be taught. And so I love the fact that you're doing that. I've always wanted to do it, but I got too much other stuff going on than to focus on that stuff. Like, we'll do it for me, but and we coach that inside of our real estate mastermind companies and stuff like that. But I always point them to somebody else. Like, that person does that best. They have a system. They have an operation. That's what they're doing, and you're doing it. It's amazing.
Well, and I think people look at people like us that are building our teams, and we can teach on this, and it's like, oh my goodness, they just naturally know how to do this. And I think what you just said, I made so many mistakes, and I learned the hard way of like, don't do that, right? So I do think all of this can be learned. I do not think you have to be born with certain skill sets to do this.
I also think that I'm still making mistakes right now.
Oh,
like on an everyday, regular basis, without fail, I am constantly just making mistakes.
Well, and our mistakes are bigger now, right? So when we make a mistake, sometimes it's $100,000 mistake. Like, there are no little tiny $10, $100 mess ups. It's like, oh shoot, that just cost us a fortune, right? Now, thankfully, we build businesses that can afford that, and we have cash reserves in case that happens, but it's still not fun when you realize, ouch, that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt.
Totally. How about we feel what some G's feel like?
Okay.
So are you ready for that? I won't make it full roller coaster.
But you're gonna do it, so I don't have to do anything.
I think you should probably do it after I do it.
Oh my
but
goodness.
maybe let's feel here.
Oh my
I'll tell
gosh.
you what. So we won't go like full fighter pilot style
Is
and
this
pull like
like
4 Gs.
Have you ever been on rock and roller coaster?
Yeah.
Is that what this is?
No, we won't do like any loops or pull out of Gs.
I wasn't thinking loops.
I'll do some. I mean, we could do a loop in this plane, but we could only do it once.
Absolutely not.
It would ruin the resale value of the plane.
We are not doing
Especially if
any
I did it on camera.
Oh, man.
All right, here, I'm going to take over manually. And here we go. So I'm just going to do
Oh my gosh.
like, oh man, this trim.
I don't want to like scream on the camera.
All right, so I'm just going to turn, and I'm going to pull like 1.5, okay? So it'd just be like a little bit of backstick.
How do we have to turn?
Because in order to get some G's like this,
My
we have to
goodness.
kind of turn. So this is like,
Oh,
this is like
my
1.5.
goodness.
This is like 1.5.
Whew, okay.
Do you feel that?
I definitely felt
Does it feel uncomfortable, or does it feel okay?
I mean, I felt like
Did you go to 2? That was like 1.5. You want a little bit more, or are you good? Is it like the end, or?
You can try it
You're like,
one
I
more
don't really
time.
love it. I don't
but
want you to
don't
get
go
sick.
longer.
I don't want you to get sick. I don't want you to get sick.
I can handle.
I won't give you like 0 G. That's my favorite one to do, where it's like, whoa, and like we hit the ceiling.
No,
you said you don't want that
I
one.
definitely don't want that.
So we have to.
So here's the thing: if I can't perform tomorrow, you're going to be teaching.
That's okay. I have time. I have time to do the entire thing tomorrow. So don't.
Change your
All
plans,
right,
people.
here we go. Ready? So
Oh my
this
goodness.
is like 2.
Where do you
I'll lay
look?
off.
Okay, I was going to say, where do you look? Like, I feel
Right now, I'm specifically looking at our altimeter because we're close to Class Alpha airspace, which is 18,000 feet.
Got it.
So we're at 17.5 right now. If we
Okay.
go to 18,000, I get a flight violation.
Oh, okay, got it.
Because we're not on an instrument clearance, and we need to be. So I was looking outside. You could just drag. In order to make a level turn like that, you got to drag the horizon across the windscreen. And so you just pick a point on the horizon and just pull it across. So back or front, whatever. So I had to do that with students all the time. It takes them forever. You good? You want to do more?
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right.
But I did think it was cool to like see it.
All right. So that's like 2 Gs. It's just a turn. Like the easiest way to do that is in a turn, where we lose a little bit of altitude. We can pull back some Gs and get to 60 degree. 60 degree angle of bank turns about 2 Gs. 45 is about 1.5. 90 would be like 2.5. We go to 90 degree angle turn, like knife edge, 2.5, 3 Gs. This aircraft's not allowed to pull that many Gs.
Got it.
So the one I flew before this in the military, we could pull 7.5 Gs legally. So that's what I was doing there with them, and that was awesome. But I've had kids like pass out at 2 Gs. They went out drinking the night before, dehydrated, tired, all this stuff, and they're passing out.
Where are we right now?
We just passed Huntsville, Alabama.
Okay.
We are headed towards Birmingham. So Birmingham will be off the front left over there by those smokestacks. And then we'll be Tuscaloosa, and then we'll be like in the middle of nowhere. We call it LA.
Okay.
Lower Alabama.
Okay, nice.
So when somebody says I'm from LA and they only have like 3 teeth,
they're
probably saying Lower Alabama. All right? And then it's Pensacola. Pensacola's in the panhandle right there on the Gulf section of the panhandle. So what is some advice? There's people that watch this that are business owners that are struggling. Like you work with these people. You know where the majority, like there's an 80-20 rule in everything that we do, right?
Yep.
So 80% of your clients probably struggle with like one thing. What is the biggest thing that they struggle with? Why, and how can you help?
So my people are working too much. They are really exhausting themselves. They know they need to hire, but they're afraid to. They're afraid of, do I have the money? What if I spend the money and these people aren't producing? So now I'm just losing money, right? There's a lot of reasons why they're hesitating. And a lot of times it's because they've already been burned before. They've hired somebody that said they were amazing, but unfortunately maybe they didn't know how to train, how to really hire the right people and maximize that team. So then it was kind of like a lost cause. Like, oh, I already spent all this money, I already wasted so much. It's kind of like you've been in a bad relationship and you're nervous to try it again. That is how a lot of these people are when they come to me. I try to get them to understand it's just they've been doing it in an ineffective way. They haven't been attracting the A player, right? So sometimes, this person wasn't great and they just weren't at the level you needed. So I really teach them like what to say in the interview, how to scare them even. Like, I don't know if you heard Amy talking about how her team, she said like, we work. And like even just the way she said it, you know they're hard workers, right? I want my applicants to know this is not an easy job. Like, we are workers, we love growth, we are trying to always outperform ourselves. If that doesn't sound fun to you, you do not want to work here. Like, people are afraid to scare people, and I want to repel and attract, you know? I want to make sure that I'm attracting the right person. So I think
magnetic, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
When I look at that, all the Dan Kennedy magnetic marketing stuff, I love the idea of a magnet. When it's the right way around, right? It's pulling people in. But if you've ever turned one of the sides of a magnet the opposite direction, it just pushes away.
For
and
sure.
so, like, we talk our core values, we talk what we're about, all that stuff. And mine are extreme ownership, stewardship, hard work, integrity, personal, professional development. So if somebody's not developing themselves on a regular basis, they don't do what they say they're going to do, and do the right thing all the time. If they're not hardworking, and I don't mean like 24 hours a day.
Correct.
I mean, when you're working, you are in the zone. Like, you can get more done in the time that you have. You're focused, you're executing, and you're performing at a very high level. Stewardship, they're taking care of the business, the clients. Like, they're really looking at the resources and how they're good stewards of those, and then they take responsibility for everything in their world, right?
Yeah.
Do you guys have core values in your company?
We do, and so mine is integrity, kind of like what you said. You do what you said you're going to do, right? And I'm watching for that in the interview process. Are they showing up on time? Are they making excuses? Are they canceling? You know, just anything. Or maybe we do a sample project. I want to see how well they're doing with that. High standards. I am not looking for perfection, but I am absolutely, like, that's where that work ethic comes in. Like, you would never do something for a client that wasn't at our standard, right? I really want to up level and just have that amazing experience. Resourcefulness. Oh man, and this is how I picked my values. I just looked at, like, all of the people that I had fired over the years, or just like, something's wrong, this person isn't working out. I'm like, what is irritating me about this situation? And I'd be like, oh my goodness, like, this person's not a team player. Like, that's how we came up with the team player value, because I don't like when somebody's like, not my role, that wasn't my fault, that was Susie, like, blame her. I want my team just jumps in, and they will support no matter what department, who's in charge, any of that, right? So that's a big one. And then results driven. And whether that's for our team, like you said, kind of like your stewardship, I want results for our clients, I want results for the team, I want results for them individually, and the company as a whole. And we really, like, I can tell yours means something, right? Some people have fluffy core values, and it's pretty graphic on their website, but doesn't really mean anything. We hire, we fire, we reward, we recognize off of our values.
Yeah, and I think that's, like, honestly, that's the thing that allowed us to push past our first ceiling that we hit.
Okay.
We, like, hit this point, and we were like, you know, I can't place it, but there's something about the people in the company that they're just not getting us to where we need to go. They got me where I was, but they weren't going to get me any further. And we started to really figure out what that was, and just that core value piece to, like, print. And I had trouble trying to build this out. You know what I did? I tried to build it out with my staff. We had a 4-hour Zoom meeting before Zoom was cool.
Yeah.
This was like in 2017. 4 hours, and we got them, and everybody was like putting their piece in it. But the thing was, the people that were part of that meeting were not fits for my values. And so what I realized was, and I couldn't even tell you what they were after the meeting.
Yeah.
Like, they were like long sentences, garbage. I didn't like it. I had a business coach tell me at the time, he gave me this, like, gem, this gold nugget. In 5 minutes, we did my core values. 5 minutes.
Wow.
You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. So kind of like what you said, you took the people that were not a good fit and said, oh, we need this. But what he said was, write down the 3 people that have been the biggest influence in your life. So 3 people, maybe it's 4, maybe it's 2, whatever. And if it's like a coach or a parent or somebody who raised you or a teacher or something like that, like, just all the people that have, like, defined, because the problem that I had is I don't want to talk about myself, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to be like, oh, I have this value that's
Yes,
really
I'm
valuable.
amazing.
It's incredible. And so you all need to have this.
Yes.
Right, to work with me and grow inside my company. So he said, take these 3 people. And so I took these 3 people. It was my dad. My dad is, like, the biggest influence in my life. He's been the rock. He's been amazing. My dad went to Georgia Tech. I went to Georgia Tech. My dad was in the Navy on submarines. I was in the Navy flying airplanes. I even went on a submarine because he told me to, and I checked it out, and I didn't like it.
Nice.
And so, like, we played similar sports. He was an athlete. I was an athlete. It's just like, I was basically like a mini him growing up, and still now. And as a man, for anybody that's listening, like, we basically live to please our Father. That's just the way it goes, and it's fact, and we try to break away from it, and anyway. So my dad, I had a commanding officer of mine in the Navy, and I had a soccer coach who, like, we were a really good soccer team, like number 7 in the nation good in high school, and won the state championship every single year. It was just, he was like the soccer celebrity in our entire state, and just taught me serious values. So then he said, so I got my 3 people, you can get them quick, right? And then he said, write down all of the values that they had. Write down all the things that you saw that you loved in them. And so I was making this list like really fast, like, oh, Bill Stara, hard worker, he did, you know, this, personal development, all these things. My dad, stewardship, integrity, like just writing all this stuff down about all 3 of them that I idolized in them. I said, all right, well, those things are your values. What you see in other people is what you inherently have.
Yes.
That's simple, it's a mirror.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy crap, we did it. And he's like, just circle them. And then what we did was we lumped them all into different kinds of values, because all the words were just synonyms of each other. And we came up with 4 or 5. For me, it was 5. For most people, it's like 3 to 5 usually. And that was it. Like, it was done. I was like, this is it. Like, it took me
so
5 minutes. And then the best thing he said at the end was, now what you have to do is you have to write a letter to each one of those 3 people and mail it to them. And tell them what we just did, and that they were the biggest influence in your life. How much you appreciate them, how much you love them, how much they changed your life. And I did that for 2 of them. One of them I couldn't find, my coach, Bill Stara. But about 2 years ago, he sent me a friend request on Facebook.
Nice.
And I sent him it in a Facebook message.
Oh my goodness.
And we reconnected. It was awesome. So
that's amazing.
So that was like the gold nugget that I got. I absolutely love it.
Well, and I love it because the reason I tell people go with your frustration is when I say, well, just what do you like about certain people? It's hard to like even put a finger on it, but when you say what frustrates you the most, man, it pops up. So I like that it's not about you, it's about somebody else, because it's easy for you to talk about them. So I think your strategy makes so much sense.
It's really hard for people to say, that's why I had my whole team on the call for 4 hours. I was like, what do you guys think it is? Like, what do you, and I'm like, I don't know. Is that our value? And honestly, the people that were on that call, I'm a business partner with one of the guys, but he's not my COO anymore working for me in that company. And the rest of them are gone.
And I was just going to say, you don't want the people, like if they're creating them and they're not in alignment, right? It's like they're going to present not great values, and you're going to be like, yeah, I guess that's who we are. But it's not about like who you currently are. It's about like what you're no longer going to tolerate moving forward, who you're going to really like put the stake in the ground and say, this is who we are, this is how we're going to act, how we're going to behave. So I think it's so much harder when you do it with the current team if they're not the right team.
Yeah, for sure. So hiring is obviously one. That's a huge one. When to, how to, all this stuff. So what are some of your like top tips that you would have? Because I think this is a really hard one, is hiring the right people.
Yeah.
And so what are some of your top tips to like hire, retain that great talent? And then what are some things that you could share with people of like, hey, sometimes you just need to get rid of them?
Yeah. Okay, so I think a lot of times in the hiring process, people just go grab a random job description. They'll like Google social media manager job description, and then they copy and paste it. And then what happens is it's usually never what they actually are going to have them do. So you've attracted somebody with a false, right, like a false idea of what the job actually is. So what I always tell people to do before you actually go and hire is start brainstorming every day. What could I delegate to that person? What would I have that person do today? So right now I'm about to hire like a VP of marketing. And every time I think of a marketing idea, I'm like, oh, they could do this. Oh, they could do that. I would love it if they could just do this, right? So all of a sudden, I start taking that information, and I am now crafting a real job description so that when they come on board, we're going to do that. Like the stuff I actually said we're going to do, they're going to get to do, because how can you say, hey, you should apply for this. Here's what you're going to do. Just kidding. That was all made up. I copied it from Google. Now I don't really know what you're going to do, so what do you think you should do? It's such a different experience. So it really starts with like the job description is you kind of flagging them, saying, hey, look at me. And if it's not accurate, you're going to get not a great fit, most likely. So that's a huge one. Another piece is I really love doing a paid sample project before we hire them. So when I'm down to like my last 1, 2, or 3 people, I will probably give the top 2 the same project, right? So I'll make something up. Let's say I'm going to hire this marketing person. And I might say, make a list that says, well, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to come up with a text message strategy to build our text message list. So I would love to see you prep an ideas board or like something to pitch me on what we should be doing, right? So I'm going to give them both the same idea, the same job, and I might say to them, I'm just looking for no more than 10 hours this week of you to actually work, research, do whatever. I just give them the end outcome, and I let them do it however they want. And what happens is you maybe pay $200 for the sample project, and you see the work of those people versus somebody's just a great interviewer, and you go with them because they did great in the interview. I want to look at your work. Like, that's what I actually care about, right? I want to see your ideas. I want to see what you come up with. So every time I think like, oh, this is the girl or this is the guy, right? It's crazy how the sample project completely changes my mind when I see the actual quality of their work. So that's been my biggest game changer.
I love that. I've done that with VAs before, and it's pretty much like a common thing that people do to test a VA. But I can't say I've ever done that to like a typical team member, staff member, things like that. I love that. That's brilliant.
And what's really cool is when you start to hire at our level, like sometimes the top 2, top 3, they're all amazing. So when I pay for the paid project, I get to keep it because I've paid for it. It's my work, right? So maybe I don't hire person number 2, but the ideas were amazing. Person number 1 gets to take that and actually implement some of those ideas.
Okay, give me an example, because I think one of the hardest positions for an entrepreneur who will be watching this to hire is the executive assistant role.
Yes.
So give me an example maybe of a project that they could do with an EA.
Okay, so actually think, what are you going to have them do when they come on? When I hired my last EA, I was about to put on an event, and I had not looked into like the lunches, the catering. I really thought, what would I have her do if she started next week? And I thought, we got to get lunch. So I purposely said, hey, we're hosting this event. It's going to be at, and I just said the name of the building. I did not give her the address on purpose, okay? And I said, I would love for you to look into lunch options. Here's our budget. Please present me with a top, like maybe 2 or 3 options, and then write the email as if you were sending it to our guests so they knew the information. So test number 1 was, is she going to say, well, what's the address? Because you better Google that name of that building and get the address. Like, that was test number 1. I wanted to see resourceful, right? Because is she going to ask me for every little detail, or is she going to just take the clue and go? I also wanted to know, was she thinking of things like food allergies, right? Like, I didn't say anything about food allergies. I wanted to see if she would be prompted herself to should I email the list and ask if they have dietary restrictions, or would she have just come up with the menu to say, and by the way, gluten-free, dairy-free, all the big ones we've covered, right? Like, just little things like that I wouldn't have to think about. And then obviously she wrote back the email, and it was a clear winner. Because also, do you see typos? Do you see like the tone of the email? Like, how is she presenting it? Like, did she do a good job? I mean, I knew the area she didn't, so I knew right away, did she pick good restaurants or not? Would I be happy? I even said to her, please don't actually make reservations. But she even went as far as to say, and by the way, I did call, and they are available on that date, so if you ever need me to call back and actually make it, I will do that for you. And I was like, this one's a good one, right?
Wow.
The proactiveness.
Yep, and I think that's the difference. You got reactive people and you have proactive people. And the challenge is, we're the business owner. We're going to drive the business. We're going to be type A, go, typically, but we're going to want to win. And we're going to be willing to turn ourselves inside out to get that done. I've been challenged in my life as a business owner to be able to train that initiative instinct into anyone versus they have it or they don't have it. What do you think about that? Do people just have it? Can you train it? Like the proactiveness, the initiative, the critical thinking, the problem-solving type stuff? Because she's solving problems
100%.
in small areas inside that task, right?
Yeah, so I believe most things can be taught to the right person. Like somebody who is willing to learn. Somebody who has never been an executive assistant that didn't know to ask about dairy-free or gluten-free or any of that, absolutely can be taught that, right? But sometimes we don't have to teach it. We get somebody who already has been taught it. Yep. So it just depends on who you're interviewing and what your candidate pool is. And absolutely, don't let any of that be a red flag. You just have to make sure you teach them. And you have to make sure they are teachable, right? So you want to see that when you give somebody a new idea or, hey, just so you know, when we do this, you want to make sure we do X, Y, Z. Are they picking it up the next time? And then I would maybe even say, okay, listen, so here's what I want you to, I want to try to do one more time. I'll pay you for X. I want to see you do X, Y, Z. If you're like, oh, no problem, I got it. Okay, I'll do it right that way. Will they? Are they coachable? Are they teachable? Are they actually taking your advice and using that feedback?
Yeah.
Some people will and some won't.
As we're talking, you reminded me when I hired my second executive assistant. So I hired one. We were together for about a year and a half. And then I just got to the point where I just broke. I was like, I just don't want to spend time with them. It's getting frustrated. I feel like I outran my coverage a little bit. Like I just grew way faster. And then the second one, in my interview, I didn't pay her, but I was doing an event. I was doing a meetup, for a real estate meetup in Nashville. And I had interviewed her. We met at a restaurant to do an interview, first interview. Her resume was great. I really enjoyed, hanging out with her, spending time with her. And then on the second interview, I said, well, hey, I'm doing this event. Let's do an interview at the event. So she rode with me to the event. We talked on the way. She didn't know what it was. She immediately, jumped into gear, was helping people up and down the elevators in downtown Nashville. It was a pain in the butt. She was messaging people. She was making sure the food was set. I didn't ask her to do anything. I said, just come with me. And she just jumped in and started just taking initiative and doing things. And that's when I knew. I was like, okay, this is going to be good. And she was with me for about 2 years until I think the same thing kind of happened. There were a few things that happened. It was through COVID. I think she was having some problem. We kind of drifted apart a little bit. And it was just kind of I wanted to grow. And I was building new businesses, growing. And she just she was great, but she was great in that role. And I needed the next level. So how do you handle when you grow as a business owner, the business grows and outgrows the team members? How do you handle that?
First of all, I openly talk about it. So we're probably going to do maybe 6 to 7 million this year. And then the following year, I want to do at least 10 million. So I talk about it with the team as we are a $10 million company and we are on our way there. And I will flat out say, first of all, I am not a $10 million CEO today. Because if I was, I would already be there, right? So it's going to take more than what I'm currently doing to hit that. And I let them know, just like I'm going to have to work to become that CEO, if you want to be here in this role at 10 million, you've got to figure out how to become, right? So if Bella's my social media manager, I'm inviting Bella to join me in on that challenge. And if she doesn't want to, she's not going to get to stay. And they know that. Now, because one of my values is absolutely high standards and we're all addicted to growing and professional development and all of that, they're excited. The right people are excited, right? So I actually think most of the people on my team right now are definitely wanting to go to that $10 million mark with me. I will say I've had other businesses or just previous years where I can tell people are I liked it when it was a fun thing, and now this is getting real serious, right? You can tell this was their side hustle, their side job, and they didn't have to do much, and now all of a sudden, oh, you want me to work? Okay, yeah, I don't know. So we've definitely, especially in my studios, going from a hobby to a few $100,000 to over 7 figures, we definitely have had stages where it's you got us here, but you're not interested in coming there, so let's just have a conversation, a hard conversation, and we've got to figure out how to part ways here.
And I just want to be very clear, because you're talking about you're not interested, they're deciding. 100%. Well, what about when you decide?
Okay.
They're saying, I got it, I want it, I'm going, and you're no.
No, you don't.
You're not making. We just went from JV to pro, and sorry, you're not moving up to the majors with us.
Yeah, I think with that, we use KPIs, key performance indicators, and we track those on a weekly basis. And we are constantly monitoring those and pushing ourselves to go bigger, right? So I think what happens, because we use KPIs and it's very public to them, they're going to see very quickly when they're starting to slip. It's you're going from winning every game to only winning some games to I haven't won a game in a long time, right? And that leaderboard or that scoreboard really shows people where they stand, and that's why I think they're so incredibly important. We have very honest, hard conversations, and it's not easy to say to somebody, you were great, but this is no longer becoming a fit. This is crazy, but we hired somebody, and within 90 days, I had to say to her, we grew so fast in 90 days that you were the right fit 90 days ago, but now the business is was literally double the monthly revenue. That's how fast we grew in 90 days. And she flat out said, I'm getting very overwhelmed. And I'm you were phenomenal when we were 90 days ago. But now it's not working. And she said, she was I get it. I really want it, but I get what you're saying. Sometimes they don't get it. And you have to just say, I'm sorry, we're going to have to agree to disagree. And this is best for the company.
Yeah. The biggest recommendation I would have to anybody who's watching this is do that fast. Everybody says hire slow, fire fast. Everybody says it. Nobody does it. I'm an emotional decision maker. I hold on to people way too long, but it becomes obvious. Like, and I feel like I grow faster than anybody in the company because I'm constantly focused on personal development. I'm pushing myself. And you know what? What you said kind of bothered me. I'll be honest.
Okay, yeah.
You said I'm not a $10 million CEO. That is complete crap. And listen, seriously, I said this to my team. I said, guys, this is where I want to go. I want to go to 10 million, 20 million. We might need to find another CEO. I actually said that in a meeting with my leadership team and said I might not be that person. And then it was me bumping up against my internal beliefs of what I was capable of. And then right after that is when I joined like Russell's group. And I was like, I got around people that were doing like 30 million, 40 million. I was like, holy crap, like I'm totally capable of doing that. Like if they're doing that, I can do that.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't even believe that I just said that in a meeting. And because now, at my last meeting, my last annual planning session, right? Like we did 7.5 million last year, and we're trying to, and they want to do 10 this year. And they're like, I'm not sure if we can do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, 10? Like, that's like a small jump from what we did last year. And inside, I'm like, 25, 50, 100 million. And that's me. And then I'm finding myself in my head going, you can't do that. Like, how are you going to do that? 50 million, 100 million? Like, come on. But, and like, you can't tell your team that. You can't tell the staff that because every time you open your mouth, Bill, in these meetings, they go, oh, you always just want more from us. You just want more. I just read this book. 10X is easier than 2X.
Okay.
It is insane.
Okay. Who is this by?
Benjamin Hardy.
Oh, yeah. I saw this.
Who Not How.
Yeah.
So Dan Sullivan gets the credit for writing Who Not How and The Gap in the Game.
Okay.
But Ben Hardy wrote those books on Dan Sullivan's white paper. They did it together.
Yeah, I know that.
So spent some time with him, and what he said was doing 10 times more is actually easier than doing 2 times more. And so going from 7.5 to 10 is actually harder than going to like 50. Like planning out getting to 50, because there's only one path that takes you there, not 500, where it's just a little bit more of what you're already doing allows you to do that. For me, now, what that allowed me to do is say, hey, you know what? That's my job. My job as the visionary is to say, how do we do 50? Not how do we do 50, but like we can do 50. Let's put it on the board, and then let's figure the one path. What's the one thing that we have to do to get there? Because only a few people can help us get there. Only a few strategies. We might have to stop doing 80% of the stuff we're doing right now. Kill almost the entire thing. Let it go down a little bit before it explodes up. The reason why I brought this up for you is because I heard in you what I said like 2 years ago, and I was like, I don't ever want to hear anybody say that again, especially to their team, because we say it inside, we say it in our head, we start believing it, and then we show up like a $7 million CEO instead of a $10 million CEO, or 50. Like, you are absolutely capable of running a $50 or $100 million company. And the earlier you believe it, and the more you wear it around, but you know it even right now, and you're like, I don't know why I just said that.
Well, this is the first year I actually felt capable of, I'm going to do it. It really took me up until this year. Last year I was like, I don't know. Like, and I would say things like, do I want to be that big? But really it was me thinking like, well, can I do it? So do I need to pretend like
can I?
Can I? Yep. And then once I was like, oh no, we're going to do it. But here's where I feel like I copped out a little bit this year. I now believe it because I'm like, well, obviously if we can do 6 or 7 million, of course we can do 10. I let like it already show me, the evidence show me, versus believe it before. And that is something I have to work on for sure.
Here's the big takeaway that I got from this whole conversation with him, was we take the past to move into our present to dictate the future. So we use past performance to say, we can do this year, and then we project that in the future. Instead, what we should do is start in the future and say, okay, we're doing 50, let's let the future dictate what we do in the present that can give context to the past. And I was
100%.
like, I was like, oh my, that's it. Like, I'm taking, we did 6 million last year, so we could do 8 this year. And this is how we do a little bit more of this, a little bit more of this, and a little bit more of this. The problem is, we might not need to do any of all that. And so that was a huge breakthrough for me. So highly recommended book. We got like an advanced copy. I think it's out in a couple days, like May 9th.
Oh, okay.
But it was a total game changer for me. And it gave me permission. That conversation gave me permission to be the freak in the meeting and not even care what anybody else says, because they're all how people.
Yeah.
They're all like, how are we gonna, I don't know how, Bill. How are we gonna do that? I was like, I don't know how either. But if we all get on board with this idea that we can go there, then now we can start thinking differently. We can start actually thinking of the path that it might take. And it'll remove 80% of the noise and all the little crap that we're doing. It'll move the junk. I'd like you to say, I'm a $100 million CEO, and I might not know how to do it right now, but it doesn't matter. I'm totally capable of doing it. And in the future, I will be that if I choose to be and want to be.
Yeah.
So now, today, I'm going to show up like that.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to replace me unless I want to be replaced.
So good. No, I agree 100%. Thank you for the reminder.
Good. You're welcome. And I don't know, if you're 100, I'm going to just be 125 or 150. So what are you going to pick?
I definitely am going for 100.
Okay, 100.
Like, for
all
sure.
All right.
And I really would never have believed that without, like, whatever happened this year at my shift really opened me up to, like, I can do this.
Good.
How do you know, when you go home, you can't look back and forth?
I know, we're going to have to be on the instruments. They got to be instrument rated. We can see a little bit of stuff at night.
Okay, I was like,
We'll still be able to see a bit at night, for sure.
I know airplanes fly at night, but I was just double checking.
All right, we're in our descent into Pensacola. You're going to be landing the plane. You got to check in with approach. We're going to hear some radio calls back and forth. It's going to be Pensacola approach, Pensacola tower. But I'm going to set up and I'll get us all set up. This is going to be a little noisy, I would say. Pensacola tower, TBM 975 Charlie Alpha with you on the right base for 26.
975 Charlie Alpha, Pensacola tower, runway 26, clear to land 12407.
Clear to land 26, 975 Charlie Alpha. All right, I'm going to have to slow down, go down. You're coming in a little bit hot. Let's see, 26. I'll be a left turn for PC. Oh, this is the bay. That's the runway. You can see the flashing lights on it.
Oh, okay, yep.
Looks like we're the only show in town. There's really like nobody else over here.
Okay.
I'm just going to fly. Keep the yaw damper on, so I'm slowing down. We're below 178, gears coming down. Your first night landing.
Okay,
I'm excited for this.
This is like too much. What is happening now? I mean,
okay,
taking off was scary. This is going to be worse.
No, this is great. So you did pull a little G's, you took off, pull a little G's. So look, we got 2 white lights and 2 red lights. That means we're on profile.
Okay.
So at night, we want to see those lights shining like that. I'm going to put the flaps down.
Okay.
Make it a little easier for you to land. Inertial separator's on, that's normal. Flaps are coming to landing. All right, so we're a little bit high. So here, come on the controls with me a little bit. Gears down, flaps are landing, checklist is complete. We're looking good. So we're a little bit high. See those all white lights?
Yeah, that's what he's telling you.
Yeah, those white lights are on us that. So we got 85 knots, there's 90, we're looking good. So the one thing that you want when you're flying is you don't want to hold the stick really tight.
Okay.
So keep it kind of loose. If you look at me, I got just like one hand on. I'm just making small corrections.
Okay.
So what we usually teach is put an input in and then take half of it out. Just small corrections, slow is fast, like just nice and smooth.
How fast are you going?
We're going 90 knots
500.
right now.
Okay.
500 feet, yaw damper's coming off. And pretty much we fly this approach. Now we're kind of like trimmed up. So you see how I'm like putting a little bit of input in, taking it a little bit back out. You know, nice and easy. There's 90 knots, this looks good. I'm feeling a little bit low here. I'm just gonna add a little bit of power and nose up a little bit. Just a little bit, not a lot. And just kind of hold that there. And we're a little high again. It says 3 whites, 1 red. So I'll pull a little bit of power and nose back.
He's literally just talking to you.
So, yeah, I mean, this helps us at night. This is great for glide path. I mean, you can just use your eyes too.
Okay.
But your eyes aren't trained. So we're just going to keep the nose right at the numbers.
Okay.
And then when the numbers disappear under our nose, we're just going to level the plane out a little bit. So gears down, I check that again. I want to make sure we got the gear. We're going to just hold it right at 26. Just hold it down, hold it down, hold it down. There. And now we just want to level, and then just keep pulling the stick back a little bit. A little bit more. There you go. Hold it right there.
Speed.
Oh my
Look
goodness.
at that. Oh, my hands are off.
Okay, that was a really smooth landing.
You did it.
Bill, that was like...
You did it.
I can't even believe this plane didn't like jump.
It was like the best landing I've ever seen.
Okay, I did
Well
nothing,
done.
but yes.
Well done.
Okay, what am I doing with this thing?
Just hold it right there. You're doing a great job. I love what you're doing.
Oh my goodness. Wait, I actually think that was less scarier than takeoff, which I don't know how that's possible.
It is.
I thought
it is less scary.
that for sure that would have
Okay,
been
you can
awful.
let go.
Okay.
You can let go. There you go.
All right.
November 5 Charlie Alpha, left turn on Charlie, ground point 9. Have a good day.
Left turn on Charlie over to ground. See ya. Bye, Charlie.
Can't believe we're in Pensacola. Holy cow.
I know. I can't believe it either.
I didn't know I was going to Florida today.
Neither. We just skipped a couple states.
Yeah.
All right, hey, as we taxi back before I call ground, how can people find out more about you if they want to work with you on the operational stuff or anything like that? What's the best way?
So I would say the two places you can find me is either the podcast, Well-Oiled Operations, or Instagram is definitely the place I the most. And it's just my name, @Stacy Tuschl.
Awesome. Reach out to her, guys, if you're watching this. Do you guys have a YouTube channel?
We do. I actually put all of my podcasts on the YouTube channel as well. And it is Stacy Tuschl.
Perfect. All right, what'd you think?
Oh my goodness, that was, I think the beginning for me, I was like, holy cow, what is actually happening here? And then it was like, it got better and better. Like, yeah.
Well, you know what the best part is? Get to do it again.
I know, right? I'm going to be a pro by the time I'm done.
All right, we're here in Pensacola, Florida. We just landed, wrapped up with Stacy. Make sure you subscribe, share this video, like it. If you need some operational help, tell your friends all about it. We're going to go get some sushi in Pensacola, and I'll tell you what, leave a comment if you want to be the next person to fly on my airplane and jump in and do an interview with me. Tell me what you're doing, tell me why I should interview you, and maybe you'll be the next person to jump in the plane with me and fly somewhere for dinner. So pull back on the stick a little bit. Pull back.
Okay.
Yep, keep pulling back. Pull back.
Okay.
More.
Oh my goodness, please don't make me do this. Are you kidding me?